Hello. My name is Leanne Vogel, and you are watching the Keto Diet Podcast. It's episode 295, and I'm joined by a friend, a wonderful human that knows everything about CBD. We are going to be breaking down all of your questions. As you know, I've been supplementing with CBD for 3 years, and as it gets more and more popular, so many people are choosing the wrong kinds and we're wasting a lot of money. And so I wanted to have Bryan on today to kind of go through what CBD is, how it works in the body, what to look for, whether it gets you high or not, the dosages, who it's good for, who it's not good for, how to know that it's working, how to know what to choose, just everything CBD. So before we get to that, I'm going to explain who Bryan is. Bryan D'Alessandro is the co-founder of Eaton Hemp, wellness junkie, certified yoga instructor, and Bryan's life is dedicated to helping people find balance through natural, holistic methods, which led him to co-found one of the first USDA certified organic CBD companies to market. Bryan revamped his own life after a threatening health experience by focusing on staying in tune with his body and working with it rather than fighting it. Since then, he's been helping others do the same through de-stressing and focusing on bringing more calm into their lives by keeping the body in the parasympathetic state. A big shout out to our 2 sponsors that make today's show possible. The first is Billings Seafood Guys. They make the delicious Wild Alaskan Seafood Box. I'll include a link down below, including an offer for you. And last but not least, Eaton Hemp, who is on today's show. We're going to be going through everything CBD. I can't wait to get to it. I love CBD, and I hope after this you'll learn that if you've had a CBD and it hasn't worked, how to know whether or not you got a good product. And really, I just want you to walk away from today fully educated and knowing how to choose the right CBD for you. Okay, so enough of me blabbing. Let's get over to today's episode. Hello, Bryan. How are you today?
Hi, Leanne. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Oh my gosh, this is so great. I love every time that you guys come on the show to chat all things CBD. And we have a lot of questions from listeners today.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to get into it, and hopefully I'll answer all of them. And, that's the other thing as a company, we're always here. If people have additional questions, I'll say it off the bat, reach out.
Yes. And I think that's the way to run a business. And that's how I do it too. It's always helpful too, to educate yourself as a business of what people are asking and how you can be of service to them. So I love that that's something that we're just starting the episode off with by saying.
Awesome.
So let's get right into it. CBD oil. Some of us have the products in our pantry, and we're going to be going through what to look for in those products, why they may not be working in a little bit. But like, if somebody's new to CBD and they don't know what any of this is, can you just give us the elevator pitch on what CBD is?
Absolutely. So CBD is pitched in a lot of ways as this wonder, medicine, this plant medicine. And in a lot of ways it is, but the beauty of it is it's less about the CBD and it's more about the human body. So the human body has an endocannabinoid system, and it's referred to as the ECS. This is a system we've only recently rediscovered. In 1992, a group of doctors rediscovered this. And so we've had this all along. And in fact, all creatures that have a spine on the planet have an endocannabinoid system. What's really important to note about the endocannabinoid system is you can think of it as the governor of the body. It governs all of the other major functions in the body, from immune system, from inflammation, from gut health, from your endocrine system, you name it. All of your systems are kept in balance because the human body is always trying to find homeostasis, that natural balancing resting point. And so what CBD does is CBD introduces cannabinoids into the body, while the endocannabinoid system has CB1 and CB2 receptors that are distributed all throughout our body. And that's where the magic comes into play. The body already sends these wherever things are out of harmony or out of balance. And so when you introduce CBD into the system, it engages with those CB1 and CB2 receptors and that brings the body back to a healthy balance. So that's, in a nutshell, how CBD works and why it is so amazing. And one of the cool things about it is that's why, it is an adaptogen. So it will adapt to the body's needs. There's innate wisdom in the body that we can't even begin to, uncover. We're just scratching the surface. There's so much. This has evolved over millions and millions of years. And so that's the same reason that if somebody's dealing with, crashes in the middle of the day and getting really sleepy, they can use CBD to help re-energize them. And at the same time, if they take it at night, it helps them to sleep better because it's balancing their natural sleep cycles. It's not, it's working like a homeopathic. It's not like you're taking a sleeping pill that just knocks you out and you wake up groggy. It's actually bringing your circadian rhythms back into balance so that your sleep cycles are working how they should be. Your REM or deep sleep is going to be more plentiful. So it's really cool stuff.
So you mentioned sleep, inflammation. What are some other things that CBD does, and or like what are some of the signs that CBD is right for a person?
Yeah, well, the other real big ones that people come to CBD for are stress and anxiety. We live in an overstimulated and over-consuming world, and that usually leaves us very revved up, and we're constantly in that fight or flight state. And so CBD helps to bring the body back into that resting state once again. So out of the parasympathetic state, or out of the sympathetic state into the parasympathetic state. So it's really about, helping the body to find that balance. So you said it, inflammation, sleep, stress, anxiety are huge ones. We see a lot of, women, especially using it for regulating hormones. That's a big one as well. Inflammation in general, we spoke with Dr. Cole about this, Dr. Will Cole, and, he focuses a lot on inflammation and the notion that inflammation is good. The body uses inflammation to heal. It's when you're chronically inflamed and your body is not coming back to an anti-inflammatory state. And so CBD does a really good job of managing that throughout the body. And we'll talk a little bit about the different applications and ways to use CBD, because there are different ways to get it into the body and engage with those CB1 and CB2 receptors.
Yes. And I haven't dug much into this, and I should, because like I'm the hormone lady, but CBD and hormones, pregnancy, how do you feel about women taking CBD when they're pregnant?
So I want to preface this with saying, with all of this, always consult your medical professional, right? I mean, consult with your team. Now, that being said, if your medical professional is completely closed-minded to any of these alternative methods, you might want to reconsider if they're the best fit for you. But if they're open and engaging it, make sure it's not going to create a conflict. And it's not that CBD has a direct conflict with any other medications or the body, but if you have other things going on and you're doing something counter to it, it could throw things out of balance there. So you always want to work with someone. As far as pregnancy goes, yeah, I mean, the FDA requires us to, put on our label that, it shouldn't be used by anyone who's pregnant or breastfeeding. I really urge everyone to do your own research, find where your comfort level is. This is a natural plant medicine. The hemp plant and humans have evolved side by side for hundreds of millions of years. And so the notion that there is this symbiosis is real. I use it. I have a 3-year-old. We use it with him, as needed, and both topically and, even when he was going through a real big rut, using the drops for sleep. And, so there's a lot of ways to use it. I've spoken to women who use it while breastfeeding and others who are like, nope, not going to go near it. There's, some research that's starting to come out around it, some positive research, but it's still very limited. And so you've got to find where your own comfort level is.
Yes, beautiful. And my next question was going to be, kids, pets. I know that I can definitely speak to the pets part, but it sounds
Yeah.
like you give it to your kid.
Yeah, and the pets too. It's funny. My cat's outside scratching at the door. High-strung cat. A lot of anxiety. I started giving them we have two cats. Started giving them the CBD in their food, and low dosage, and they wait for it to be put on their food now. Once we put the food out there, and so again, we all have these endocannabinoid systems. So it's going to work with all of them. I've also, have a friend who used it with their dog who had a lot of, incessant itching and skin irritation. So they used it with that, both ingesting and also put some in the bath. And so, they saw great results. I highly advise experimenting. And the approach I always suggest is, be curious, be experimental. It's a plant extract, so you don't have to have a fear around it. Start slow, start small, and start to experiment. I'm constantly experimenting and not making it just an automatic thing. I just take it or use it and fall into this, habit, but to really check in with myself, say, okay, what seems off? And so I'll use it. If I wake up one day and I'm like, wow, all right, I'm feeling really anxious, I'll use some in the morning for anxiety. But other days I feel great, and I don't feel a need to. So just listen to the body, and be curious.
Yes, and we put my dog Lexi, who was 15 at the time, on CBD. We were told by the vet that we had to put her down, that we had about 2 weeks with her. And I was like, no, this is not a thing. And this was around, like, CBD wasn't really big in 2017. Not many people were talking about it, but I did my research, and I did dosage for her was for every 20 pounds of dog weight, we gave them 5 milligrams of CBD. And we found that that was a pretty good dosage for dogs with massive problems. Like, guys, she couldn't walk. And within 30 days, I have a video of her, like 30 days before, like barely walking, dragging her left paw, like far behind her. And then 30 days later, she's like running after her young puppy sister that's not even a year old, having the best time. And she lived another 2 years. And that is just, I mean, you can't, like, that was unbelievable that I got that time with her. And so, yeah, I agree with you. Just playing with it. There's, oftentimes I'll share, Coconut, our dog, has been on it since she was a puppy because, after Lexi had that success, I'm like, everybody's on this stuff. I get a lot of pushback from people of like, ooh, that's dangerous and all the things. And I think when you have firsthand experience of the, massive change that you can get. And the vet was like, what did you do? And I was like, CBD oil. And they're like, nah, that's not a thing. I'm like, no, really, I changed nothing else. It was the CBD oil. That was
And
really
really, it's
great.
your Lexi's body, which was coming back into balance, and her systems actually working to heal itself. The body is designed to heal itself constantly, and so we get in the way of that a lot of times, without even realizing it. And this is just a way to stimulate the body's systems to do what they do best. So I love hearing those
Yes.
stories. We hear so many stories a lot around, anxiety or chronic, pain. Rheumatoid arthritis is another big one, any type of joint pain. So there's just so many of these ailments that people, just live with and accept. And my intention is for everybody to try it. My personal mission is to empower people to take their health into their own hands, and I will do anything I can to help that. And we're gonna make that as easy as possible today as well. Will be is now a good time to share the offer that we're
Yeah,
going to give?
share it.
Okay, great. All right. So, two things we're going to do. We're going to give a 20% off discount code. We really, again, want to have everybody, try this and feel as good as you can. And Leanne, what is that code?
Keto Diet gives you 20% off if you go to eatonhemp.com/keto.
Yes, /keto. Exactly. And so that's one thing we're going to do to make it easy. Because look, we understand that, CBD is expensive. It's expensive to grow, to process, and to do it organically, which we'll get into that topic too, because I think it's really important here. So we want to help there. The other thing we're going to do is, we're a farmer-owned company. We're going to give a 30-day money-back guarantee. So whether you have another CBD that you've been using, maybe you haven't seen the greatest results, or you want to see if you could do even better, or you're looking to try it for the first time and might have any reluctancy, let that go, because you could try it. And if you don't like it, if it doesn't work for you, send it back. You'll get 100% money back. So I hope that helps everyone to really, experiment.
Yeah, and giving it a try, I think, is a big thing. And working one-on-one with clients, like 99% of the time, they're like, I'm having a hard time with sleep, or I'm dealing with anxiety. I'm like, okay, what CBD oils do you have in your medicine cabinet right now? And they pull out a plethora, like at least 3 different types of CBD capsules
Mm-hmm.
or oils or gummies. And we go through, and I say, send me a picture. I'll go through all of them and I'll tell you which ones are good, which ones aren't. It's often that I have to reply back and be like, yeah, you were duped. None of these are good. And that's probably why you're not experiencing the benefits. And this is what really, really gets me, is because they have this powerful, potent, amazing material in their pantry, but they were sold the wrong product and something that didn't have high quality. So can we kind of, for all of those listening who maybe are those people that have the CBD, and I was one of them too. I had all sorts of different kinds and I felt like it didn't work. And then I switched over to Eaton Hemp and I was like, oh, this is what CBD oil does.
Yeah, because how do you know, right? There's so
You
many
don't.
out there. There's somebody recommending this or that, or you go to a store and they say this one is the best selling. You don't know what you're getting. And so there's a few things I could tell you about what to look for and make sure that you're seeing there, regardless of what CBD products you're trying. And also the right questions to ask. So let's start with when you're looking on shelf, there are a few things that are now required, and some of them are optional, that will help you to navigate the space and know that you're getting best quality. So every CBD product that you buy should have a QR code on the pack, and you can quickly scan that. That'll bring you to the lab tests for that product. That's really important because the lab tests tell you how much CBD are in there, how much terpenes. It makes sure that there's no THC in there. And then it looks at all of the other chemicals and toxins that might be in there. So you want to make sure that they have that. Just the hoops that companies need to go through to get all of that certified, that shows you that they're, a little more sophisticated. The next thing, we waited to bring our CBD products to market until we could launch with an organic product, a certified organic product. And I don't say that organic is always the be all end all, but when it comes to CBD, it really is a fantastic marker, because what it tells you, the thing about CBD is hemp is a phytoremediation plant. That means it draws all of the wonderful nutrients and minerals from the soil, but it also pulls all of the toxins and chemicals and heavy metals from the soil. So if you're certified organic, that's telling you that your soil that you grew the CBD from was clean, it was nutrient rich, and it was organic. And so when you're starting with organic, you're going to get all the good stuff in the product and none of the bad stuff. My analogy is always, I would never go and buy a non-organic juice, because then you're getting a concentrated shot of whatever pesticides and chemicals were used, right? So same thing here. Organic is a really great starting point in this space. Now, the next part is knowing who the growers are, knowing who the farmers and the people behind the brand are. So by digging in there and asking those questions, you're going to find out real quickly, are they involved in the growing process and the development of the products, or are they just buying it on the market and, turning it into something else. So really get to know who's growing the product and who's packaging it and who's selling it. And if they don't have answers for you, or you don't like the answers they're giving, go with your gut there.
And so I think also what I notice is a lot of, we'll talk about tinctures right now, and then we'll get into like other forms of CBD. I mean, it gets a little bit all over the place, but because there's
No,
just
we can
so
go
many
through a few of
options.
the applications. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets so confusing because like some tinctures have MCT, and then there's gummies and all the things and capsules, and which one's best and why, and oh.
And so you just summed it up, right? It becomes very overwhelming. There are so many
Yeah.
variables. So let's separate those threads just a little bit here, right? Let's first talk about, you said they have MCT oil, or, olive oil, or coconut oil, or hemp seed oil. All of these are the carrier oils. And so we're speaking now specifically around tinctures. So talking about tinctures, right? That's the oil format. It comes in a bottle. You'll usually see them in a bottle like this, has a dropper on top. The way that this works is you take a squeeze, put the drops under your tongue. It's taken in sublingually to get into the bloodstream. When it gets into the bloodstream, this has a global effect, so it's going throughout the whole body. Really important because, as I said before, you have these CB1 and CB2 receptors distributed throughout the body. The other thing that I want to go back to is you asked about, MCT oil or olive oil or hemp seed oil. So that's the carrier oil. You need a form of fat or oil that's going to get it to absorb into the bloodstream. So there are different, reasons that different companies use different oils for their products. I'll tell you where we net it out and why. We use our own organically grown hemp seed oil. We grow that on our farm. So we grow industrial hemp organically. We take those seeds, and just like olive oil, we press them and we get an oil from that. It's very rich in nutrients. It's actually the only vegan alternative to fish oil, very high in omega-3s and 6s in the perfect ratio. So nutritionally, it's incredible. But the other thing is we really believe in not trying to outsmart nature. We know that there's so much more going on under the surface, and the sum is far greater than the individual parts. The term that is used in the industry is the entourage effect. That means that when there's more of these cannabinoids and terpenes and different compounds from the plant all in there from different parts of the plant, that's where the magic happens and the results are better. We scientifically are identifying some of the reasons why, but again, we're just scratching the surface. So we try to keep it within the plant family and use the hemp seed oil. But on that same note, that's the reason you'll see our product is full spectrum and unfiltered. Those are two other parts. Full spectrum means there's a full spectrum in the hemp plant of cannabinoids and terpenes. Those are the things that we want that are helping the body to come back into balance. And we're learning that certain terpenes are better for sleep regulation or hormone regulation or stress and inflammation. And so while we're just starting to learn what those are, we know that when you have them all in there, the wisdom of the body and of the plant work together to get it where it needs to go. So that's our reason for full spectrum. The other thing is unfiltered. We don't want to filter out any of the goodness that's in here. And so you'll notice our product tastes more, there's more of the flavor of the plant in there. If you're looking for, I always say, like if you're looking for a bubblegum flavored CBD or that cherry cola, we're not the right brand for you. If you're looking for something that has a medicinal component that really works and honors nature at the same time, then, you're in the right place. So those are really the things that I look at. And I wonder if not, well, we can come back to, I guess, the difference of CBD versus THC and hemp versus marijuana, because I think that's another one to unpack, but let's stay on this topic. So oils, take them under the tongue, gets into the body. The bioavailability is pretty high. Bioavailability means how much of it gets into your bloodstream and is used. Pretty high. the rate in which it gets into the body, the absorption rate, is pretty quickly too. So in 15 minutes, you're really feeling the effects of this. The uses I go to this for are anything anxiety or stress related. If I'm, going through a stressful period, I'll use it regularly in the morning, and, I'll do small doses and do it throughout the day even. At night, this has changed my sleep game completely. And I wasn't a terrible sleeper, but now I get such deeper sleep, more REM, more dreams, and I just feel more rested after the sleep that I get. So the oil is incredible for those uses. Again, it goes throughout the bloodstream. So any of the elements you have, it's a really good one to work with. Then let's
And
go to.
can I interrupt for a sec with
Absolutely.
the tinctures, because I know
Yeah,
people, I've had this question so many times, so I just want to get
please.
that out there. You put it under the tongue and then you wait 30 seconds and then you swallow, right?
I go even further, and I hold it there for 60 seconds. You could even hold it there for 2 minutes. The idea
Okay.
is that the longer you're holding it, it's the membranes under the tongue and along the side. Dr. Mary Clifton had educated on some studies they were doing where along the side is pretty much just as good at absorbing. So anyways, you hold it there, and that, the longer you're holding it there, the more is going to get absorbed. So but you hit a peak after like a minute and a half. So 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay, brilliant. And then the next thing is with tinctures, before we move on to like creams
Yes,
and
no,
salts
we
and
don't
all
need
the
to move
things.
on yet, please.
Because you just get so many questions. And my intention behind today's episode, I was telling Bryan before we hit record, is like that all of your questions that I have ever gotten will be answered in one place, so that everything can be on the table and very clear. Another thing, as we're looking at CBDs, and this is for capsules and tinctures, you see the number on there, 1,500,
Yeah.
1,000, 800, 700, and people are like, what is that? What do I look for? Is more better? Can we just kind of go through that piece really quick?
Yep. Yeah, I mean, is more better? Well, more is more, right? Whether you need more or not is a different thing. Quality is also very important when you're looking at that number. The other thing is different products are using numbers in different ways. Some of them are telling you how many milligrams per dropper full, how many milligrams per serving, how many milligrams per bottle. So it'll make you go crazy. So let's all take a deep breath and we'll unpack that. So we also have on our website, eatonhemp.com, a hemp hub, which is a repository of all interviews and information that we've collected. So you'll learn more about usage and dosage, and you could always go there. And if you have any questions that aren't on there, reach out. We love to geek out on this, if you couldn't tell. But when you're looking at that number, yeah, you want to understand how much you're going to be getting in your body. That's really all that matters, unless you're trying to figure out how many of my personal serving sizes I'm getting per bottle on a cost basis, but that's a different thing, right? Let's just focus on medicinally. So you want to know how much you're getting into your body. We have two strengths. We have a regular strength and an extra strength. And so, and you'll see on ours, it says 1,500 milligrams per bottle on the extra strength of 1 ounce and 50 milligrams per serving. And so the regular strength is half that. So you'll get 25 milligrams per serving. So let's talk about dosage, because I know that's a question that everybody always has. And I just want to preface this with saying you're not going to get the exact answer that you want. Everybody's chemistry is different. Everybody's endocannabinoid system is different. And depending on what we have going on in our lives, our body's just in a different state. So the first thing I say is listen to your body, know your body, really, explore within your own body. Start slow and start small is always the recommendation. But you should also have somewhat of a gauge of how sensitive you are or tolerant you are to different substances. So if you drink coffee ever, well, if you could do a double shot of espresso and you're just fine, then okay, you probably have a higher tolerance. If you start getting anxious when you're even drinking a decaf coffee, you're pretty sensitive. So use that as the initial way to find your starting position. If you're more sensitive, start with a regular strength. If you have a high tolerance, start with extra strength. And then, from there, start with a quarter dropper full. Start really slow, really small. And the other thing, when we're talking about all of these ways of helping our bodies and dealing with ailments, it's not just about one thing. So first off, if you're introducing CBD, don't introduce a whole bunch of other things at the same time, because you want to know that your experience and the data you're getting is valid. The other thing is, set the conditions for success. Let's say you're using this for sleep, okay? So are you staring at a screen for the 2 hours straight right before bed? I mean, that could be an issue. Are you in a very overstressed and anxious job or lifestyle? That can be an issue. All of these things that mount up, CBD will help the body to a point, but if you're already in the red zone state, you got to set the conditions so that it could really work for you. And I urge everyone to look at that with whatever element they're dealing with. If it's inflammation, well, if you're eating tons of sugar and foods that are inflammatory, you're going to be contradicting it. So really try to help that out.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
now I
I'll
forgot
definitely
where were
add. Yeah. CBD, we love it. So just with my one-on-one clients now, all this stuff doesn't happen in a vacuum, and oftentimes, if a woman is needing help with their nutrition, they come to me. It's that they probably have anxiety, stress, inflammation, muscle cramping, hormone dysregulation. So it's kind of, which did it help first? Which came first, the chicken or the egg, or whatever the saying is?
Mm-hmm.
I know that for myself personally with anxiety, I find when I'm anxious, I'm also not sleeping well. And
Yeah.
so I find for me, with anxiety, I will do 25, sometimes 50 milligrams in the evening before I go to bed, because CBD like wipes me out. If I take even a little bit in the morning, I'm like so dopey and out of it. And dopey, I don't mean high. We're going to get to that later. But I can't. So for me, with the anxiety and sleeping issue, I'll take that in the evening. However, if you're stressed, taking it at night really isn't going to do much. And so with my clients that are stressed, we're kind of trickling it out throughout the day, just doing a couple drops here and there, and we can kind of
Yeah,
set up
you
a
can go
schedule that
micro.
way. Yeah, exactly. Micro. And then with muscle cramping, we're going to kind of get into, if you have a lot of muscle cramping and it's because of inflammation, again, throughout the day is good. But if you specifically like go to the gym, you work a muscle really hard, there's a different recommendation that I would have for that. Yeah, go team. And so you can see kind of with the salve, it's a better like a point system that you can kind of use whenever. But I guess something that you said, Bryan, and I wanted to kind of clarify, if at times of lots of stress, we're taking maybe 25 milligrams or 17 or whatever we decide is best for us, does the CBD build up in the connodial system, like within the system, or do you have to keep taking it, or like kind of how does that work as we're figuring out our dosage?
Yeah, it's a great question. That's why I said always check in and see what's working. I mean, when my sleep was at its worst, I was using a full dropper full of the extra strength, and it was doing the job. A month later, I started playing with like, I wonder if I pull back a little bit on it, because I still felt in the morning like I could have slept a little more. I wasn't feeling groggy, but I felt like I could have slept more. I was like, let's do the counterintuitive thing and start using less. And I dialed back all the way down to a quarter dropper full. And I was able to get the same exact results and wake up completely refreshed. So the body, it's not that you're building a tolerance, it's that your body is starting to regulate on its own and it's getting back to a healthy balance. And once it gets there, it needs less help. Remember, this is the governor, so it's going to help govern things. If everything is having law and order, then it doesn't need as much. So yeah, I would say, always play with that. Don't take it blindly. Even if you've seen it working, check in with your body. And this takes just a few seconds, just checking in before you take it and then afterwards, and just saying, okay, how does that make me feel? How does my body feel?
I think the pausing is really important. Just, you don't need to be like super intuitive with your body that I often talk about, but it's just like, close your eyes. How
Yeah.
are you feeling? Like, are you feeling dizzy? Are you feeling tired? Are you still in pain? Kind of go through a checklist, and that's really the thing too. And that's what a lot of people struggle with on a ketogenic diet. We've been eating this way for a year. We're like, it's not working anymore. I don't understand
Right.
why. Well, you've healed your body, so now you require something a little bit different. And okay, so I talked a little bit about the tinctures, and we were about to move into that, and I was like, wait, or sorry, the salve and the creams. Can we talk a little bit about the differences, and do they
Yes.
smell like marijuana? This was a question I always get. Does it smell like marijuana? Am I going to put this stuff on my body and smell like a pot leaf?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it depends on what product we're talking about as far as scent goes, because some of them have other things going on in it, like the topical salve has peppermint oil in there, so you get that flavor, that aroma coming through. But as I said, this is an unfiltered, full spectrum product, so there is a scent of the plant. I mean, do you smell like a raging pothead? No. But there is a scent of the plant in there. Again, buy it and try it, and with a discount. And if you don't like how it smells, just send it back. It's that simple. So if that's the thing that's holding you back, I want to remove that. Then like we have lotion, which is completely unscented. Then we have another one that has lavender scent to it, and so those don't really smell like the plant much at all. The salve is more peppermint forward, but there's a little smell of the plant in there. I mean, I love it. I find it to just be really beautiful and fragrant. And yeah, you taste in the oil, you taste the plant. It's not like it's a lingering smell where you're gonna have a scent on you like that. But try it and see if it works for you. Uh, so let's jump over. We spoke about the oral application through tinctures. I want to talk about two others. I want to talk about topical, and I also want to talk about the one that is very counterintuitive, but smoking, because there's been amazing results for people with chronic conditions there. So first, topically, let's just talk about how it works. We spoke about how with the tinctures, it's going under the tongue and through the membrane, getting into your bloodstream and traveling throughout the body. Well, when we talk about topical, this actually has a lower bioavailability, and it doesn't get as much into the system. But here's the tricky thing there. What it does do is it targets things right on the spot. And so if you have cranky wrist, or you have arthritis and things are really out of whack, your body has already sent those CB receptors to that spot. So they're living there locally. So this is a local application. When you put it on, it's going right on the spot, and you usually feel those results immediately, especially because we also have this infused with birch bark and arnica, which are other anesthetic, anti-inflammatory, and so they're anti-bruising agents. So these are things that are really helping on multiple levels. So people, I always travel with this in my pocket or my bag, and it's a go-to. I use it much like I use arnica for pain relief from the homeopathic world. I do it the same way. If I have something going on, I'll do the external and the internal together, and I feel like there's a synergy that happens. This is not me scientifically speaking, this is just my experience. But so yeah, this is just like a giant chapstick. You just rub it onto the spot, rub it in, and you're good to go. Huge fan of this for anyone who has chronic issues. For eczema, psoriasis, any skin issues, we've seen amazing results there. I know I get some psoriasis spots, and it's done wonders. One thing I will say, because it does have arnica in there, don't put it in open wounds, because arnica is not good in the bloodstream. But anyways, the next one topically I want to go to this is a new product of ours, our lotions. So these are great because, you're getting CBD right into the skin and the cells love it, or if you have inflammation, and you're getting a wider area when you use it. It's also very moisturizing. And so on a, just on a skin health level, it's really great. I love it. The unscented is truly unscented. It's so nice. And the lavender is really soothing and calming as well. So these are also really great to have in the bathroom. So that covers our topical. Any questions?
I love it. I have some thoughts too with the salve. I get psoriasis on my scalp when I'm really stressed, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
just like
Yeah,
separate it with a
I get it
comb,
over
and
here.
yeah, exactly. Separate it with a comb and just put the stick right on there, and it's gone within a day. And if you have, like with me with psoriasis, it's always been an issue since I was little. It's so embarrassing to have like white flakes on your shoulders, and I find the salve, like, I do not go anywhere without it. I love that stuff. I love it so much. And I use it for different reasons, where the CBD oil, I wouldn't think, like, it just, no, like to have just the salve on there is wonderful. And I think that was my only comment on that. So yes, let's keep going into other options for CBD.
All right. So yeah, the next one is, we have the pre-rolls, which I've got one here. So the pre-rolls come in a tube like this. And this will be a good segue over to CBD versus marijuana, because sometimes when it looks like a duck, it walks like a duck, and it smells like a duck, it's not a duck. So this is CBD flower rolled into a smokable format. This is, the flower from the plant that's harvested. So the thing about CBD versus marijuana, they're both siblings coming from the cannabis, genus, but the strain is different. So there is a high occurrence of CBD in this plant, very, very low occurrence of THC. And in fact, in order to be legally sold, it has to be below 0.3% THC. That's not going to get you high. You would need to consume a lot of it, a lot of it, more than anyone ever would. So this, smells and looks just like CBD, but all the products, again, they have the QR code on there that bring up the lab tests and show that there's below the legal amount of THC. It also says it right on here on the pack. What this is incredible for is really, anyone who has chronic conditions loves this. Pain management, incredible. Anyone who's really overstressed, I mean, I'll take, and the whole thing is, you're not going to sit and smoke this whole thing. You take a couple of puffs, and the thing about smoking is it has the highest bioavailability. So you by far get the most into the bloodstream, and it happens almost instantaneously. Within seconds, you're feeling the effects. And so I always say, like, when I take a couple of puffs of this, I just feel like my shoulders drop, and it's like that, at the end of the day, just where I would normally need an hour of just, decompressing time, this does it for me just like that. And it, because it's dealing with the nervous system, it's getting you out of that fight or flight and allowing you to come back down to a baseline that's healthy and manageable. So the lungs are also an incredible way of absorbing into the bloodstream. The alveoli just take it in, and it's amazing. And so we look at smoking in relationship usually to the tobacco industry, or even smoking marijuana, but specifically tobacco, where there are all these chemicals, toxins, tar, and all of these illnesses that came about from it. We're not talking about that here. This is organic. You're not dealing with any of these toxins, and you're also only talking about a few puffs. So look into it again. It's important for you to see what's right for you, but I definitely would say give it a try, because it's amazing stuff.
So for those of you watching the video, you see that Bryan is basically holding a joint in his hand. And so I think now is a good segue into Can you get addicted? Does it have THC? Is this going to show up in a drug test? There are a lot of concerns around, is CBD a drug? Can we just unpack this and to kind of put people's minds at ease?
Absolutely. This is one that I spend a lot of time around, and it's important to me as well, that people understand the difference. CBD and hemp in general, even hemp food, because we have food products as well, they have been classified as a Schedule I narcotic for a very long time, and wrongfully so. It got swept into this anti-drug sentiment, and anything related to the plant just got put in there. And so this created a lot of confusion and a lot of stigma and a lot of baggage. Some of it's, cultural and subconscious that we don't even realize we carry around with us. But, I ask everyone to really look at that and ask these questions for yourself. As far as, CBD goes, you're talking about, lower than 0.3% THC, which is far below and we usually come in much lower than that too, but below the legal, limit, and it will not get you high. It is not marijuana. It works very differently. I personally, I smoked marijuana when I was younger, and in my adult life, I cannot go near it at all. And so I have stayed away from it. It just makes me very anxious, and it gets me very paranoid in my head. So I would not go near CBD products if it brought me into that space at all. It does not, it will not. Again, make sure you know what you're buying out there, because if people are not adhering to those standards or wrongfully positioning their products, you don't want to get mixed up with that. So make sure that you know where you're getting it from and you know that it is above board, because that's really important. People ask about drug tests. Will it come back with false positives? I always give the comparison of when I was younger. There was this whole rumor of like, oh, don't eat too many poppy seed bagels. You're going to come back as testing for heroin, right? It's in a lot of ways the same. It's not going to trigger a result there, at least not that alone, right? Unless you're dealing with a job that has like a zero tolerance for false positives, or you're in, a field that is just so rigorous, you've got to make those decisions for yourself. I haven't had any concern of that. And we actually, come to think of it, our customer service team has never told me of a case where someone came back with a positive. But again, you got to find where your comfort level is at. And, if you do want to find something that has no THC at all, where it's removed from it, there are broad spectrum products out there, which means that they isolate and remove the THC molecules, so there's nothing in there at all. But again, for us, we say there's far greater synergy between all the parts, so we leave it intact.
So would the product either be full spectrum or broad spectrum, kind of either or, depending on the THC, and the full spectrum would then have in at least the Eaton hemp products is it 0.03 or 0.3? I can never remember.
0.3%.
Oh, 0.3. Okay. 0.3%. Okay. And I guess because it's so low, there are concerns like, will I get addicted? Like, I can't live without the CBD stuff, and then I'm hooked on it. I have not experienced
If you
that.
get an addiction, it's psychosomatic. It's a mental thing. You know what I mean? You might create a dependency where you're saying, oh my God, I need that. And so your mind is telling you that you need it, but your body is not going to have a dependency. Because again, the way that CBD is working with your body is helping your body to take control of its own functions. So the body's not going to say, hey, help me get control of my, there's not a codependency there. It's saying, here, go do this. And then it steps back. So yeah, your body might fall out of harmony again if you go back into a situation where you're just so overstressed or so inflamed or whatever it might be.
Okay, perfect. And we touched on this a little bit before. Is there can you take too much? I got this question today from a client. Like, Can you take too much?
Yeah, I mean, can you? I guess what does too much look like for someone is the first question, right? I haven't experienced taking too much. Well, my example of too much was when I was, using it for sleep, and I realized after a while I could dial back on it. I've never heard of anyone having any adverse effects from using too much of it, but I never say never, and I say listen to your body, but also start slow and start small. That's when you're talking about plant medicines. It's not like Western medicine where it's like hitting it with a hammer. You want to, be gentle with it and really listen to those more subtle sounds that are going on.
hmm A couple of random questions also that we got from listeners that really didn't fit anywhere, but I thought was important to bring up. One of them is, can it impact my workout? And I have not had that experience, but has anyone said that it has impacted their workout?
Yeah, I mean, there's two sides to that coin. If you said you're sensitive, where that if you take it in the morning, you're feeling a little slower. Some people find that, other people find their energy levels stay the same, and then you work out and you're getting added benefits of the anti-inflammatory aspects. You have a lot of professional athletes that are using CBD when they perform professional sports at the highest level, and they're doing it for injury prevention. It's a really big thing going on. So there's not an outright reason I would say, yeah, don't use it when you're going to work out, but do a little experiment, see if it works for you. And when you're experimenting, I'd say, give it a week or 2 weeks when you're playing with something to really see, how it's working or not, and adjust from there.
Awesome. And I guess people could be allergic to hemp. I'm sure that's a thing. Could they still take CBD oil because it's the oil form? Sort of like I'm allergic to peanuts, but I can do peanut oil. Do you
Right.
know anything about that and allergies to hemp?
So, there's no known allergens to hemp, um, at least when I last, researched this. So I'll start by saying that. Again, this is also where you make sure that you're getting organic products and all this, because there can be other, plants that get mixed in or something like that, where you can have an effect from it. Um, I would say, yeah, we haven't heard from any of our customers having any real issues there. So I would say try it. You have a 30-day money back guarantee if you have any issue. But I wouldn't be afraid of saying like, oh my goodness, is this gonna, be some crazy extreme effect? Again, this is not medical advice. This is just experientially what we've seen and what I've seen personally.
How great is it that you have customer service so people can call in and share their experiences? Because that must be huge to even just adjusting your products or understanding what needs to be addressed. And that's one of the reasons why I love you guys so much, is because people can just call and ask and interact and understand.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. We love it. I mean, for us, we get real-time feedback from people. And again, when everyone's endocannabinoid system is unique, we're getting to hear in all these different, conditions and environments how things are working for people, or what might not be working, and how you could adjust. And we even offer also on our site, we have, partners who you can do some additional consultations with, like Dr. Mary Clifton is one, uh, for example. So there's always more you can get into there, and really get some additional help.
That's amazing. Bryan, thank you so much for hanging out with us today and answering all the questions. People watching the video here on YouTube saw just how excited we both get about CBD. So it's really fun to interact with you and just connect with somebody else who loves CBD as much as I do, and who knows so much. So thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your brilliance.
Oh, thank you so much, Leanne. I love it. I love, what you do. I love your audience. I think everyone is so engaged and, interested in finding a healthier and more fulfilling life. And anything I could do to be a part of that, and anything Eaton Hemp could be a part of that through, is just fantastic.
Well, thanks again for coming on the show. And I'm sure you'll be back some other time to answer questions we just didn't think of today.
Absolutely. And look, you guys have an open line, so reach on out.
Yeah, I hope you really enjoyed today's episode. You can tell that Bryan and I are really passionate about CBD. If you are watching here on the video, you just saw like me in the back, like I'm just so excited. So I hope you learned a bunch about CBD and that you can walk away today feeling way more empowered on how CBD can play a role in your life. And also, as Bryan mentioned earlier on in the recording, if you go to eatonhemp.com/keto, I'll include these details down below, and use the coupon code Keto Diet, you're going to get 20% off. And one thing I really like about Eaton Hemp is that if you try it and you hate it, you can just send it back and they'll give you your money back. And they stand behind that 100%. I've partnered with Eaton Hemp for a couple of years now, and all my dogs have been on it. My husband is on it. I'm on it. I love this stuff. And if you love this stuff too, great. If you don't, send it back. You get your money back. So it really allows you to really test and see whether or not, whether the salves or the pre-rolls or the tinctures or the lotions are going to work for you. So again, I will include those links down below. And as always, if you need to reach out to me, you have questions, suggestions, comments, you can do so by going to healthfulpursuit.com. I think it's in this corner, healthfulpursuit.com/contact. I'll include it in this corner so you can just reach out to me. And thank you for watching today's episode. I will see you next Sunday for another podcast episode. Okay, bye.